everyone, back to our annual conference for excellence in nonprofit management and leadership presenter interview series. And for those of you who are new joining us for the first time for this series, my name is Trisetta Alexander, and I am a business productivity coach as well as strategic consultant to entrepreneurs, small businesses, nonprofits, and ministries. And today I am excited to be sitting down with Nyla Davis. Nyla, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be training at this year's conference. This will be a great day, and I hope to impart my knowledge and skills to others so that they can become great managers and give nonprofits an opportunity to grow their businesses or to manage more effectively.
Awesome. So now that you've already already started giving us a little taste of what you're going to be presenting on, but before we go into that, I want to know more about you. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Nyla Davis. I am the Human Resource Director with Tallahassee Community College. Here at the college, what I do is I oversee all the HR operations, which include managing benefits, payroll, performance management, training, employee relations for more than 1,500 part and full-time employees. Prior to my time here with Tallahassee Community College, I was the Human Resource Director with the Florida Lottery. I am a proud Florida State graduate with a degree in Human Resource Management. Additionally, I have my MBA from the University of Phoenix, and I am a Miami native. And I've been here in Tallahassee probably since college.
Oh, wow. So yes, so fellow Knoll.
All right.
Awesome.
I love the Knolls.
They pay me, so I guess I gotta love them. Well, we are really excited to have you join us for the annual conference. Of course, we have gone virtually this year due to COVID-19, and but just because we've gone virtual doesn't mean that we are not bringing some serious content for attendees. And I know, Nyla, you are going to be speaking on staffing structures and effective use of skill sets, which is a huge topic for nonprofit managers and executive directors. So tell us a little bit about what you plan to share in your session.
All right, so I've broken down the session into 3 different compartments, and I'm going to try to squeeze as much as I can in my 45-minute time slot. I realize that we'll probably go through it pretty fast, but I'm going to talk about effective organizational layouts. I'm also going to talk about recruitment and selection, and then retention. Retention is a big thing to understand how that affects your bottom line in nonprofits as well as other organizations and companies. And so we'll spend a little bit of time on recruitment and selection. And then lastly, we'll follow up and close it up, put a bow on it with effective management skills. So we'll get into a couple of the tidbits and best practices to being a manager and also to being a leader. I felt like you needed to kind of put a bow on it to give people a well-rounded view of really what it takes to run the personnel side of any nonprofit or organization.
Right, and I think that that's really important for that closure that you're bringing, because a lot of times when we start talking about staffing, we start thinking about what positions that we need. And how are we going to recruit the right talent for those roles? But we don't really get into the management side of that. I think that that's one of the areas that, even though people have been running businesses, managing businesses and organizations for decades and centuries now, we have not done a really great job of training managers to be good ones. So what is the biggest mistake that you see managers making when it comes to managing their employees and keeping them happy?
Yeah, so I think I'll kind of start where we start talking about managers become managers because they do their job well. They
Right.
excel as an employee, and so others see their work and they think they're a natural fit to become a manager. So once you become a manager, nobody really gives you those skill sets, like you said, to perform your job as an employee and also to manage. So one of the biggest things that I see that people that occurs in management or new supervisors or even seasoned supervisors is failing to address an issue when it first arises. A lot of times people use the measure of employees know how to be great employees. So if they slack for a couple of months, it may just be a phase, and that at some point, they'll grow out of it and we'll get back to normal, when you really have to use effective communication to kind of get out of that rut. And so engaging with employees, making sure that you understand, what it is they want from a job, as well as what you as a manager have expectations for them in that role. And so it's important to really connect those dots. And that goes back to the recruitment side. So having really managers understand that when you have a need, understand what type of employee, what type of skill set, what type of education it will take to perform those duties and responsibilities that you have in a position, or that you need in a position, and really seeing it all the way through. One of the other things I see is managers will make that great hire and then use the sink or swim approach. And the sink or swim approach is, I hired you to do a job, you know what I need you to do, and go do it. But there's no training to acclimate that employee to the company culture, or to the organizational culture, to your expectations, to things as little as, how do I request a day off if I need a day off? I mean, some of those things are just items that managers just kind of take for granted. They may seem small, but you've got to have some level of ability to address it.
Right. That's really important, because I have definitely experienced that in my career where, I've shown up for a job and it's just like, all right, you get an orientation, but you don't necessarily get the training, that you really need in order to be your most effective self in that role, so that you can actually work to your full potential. Something else that I'm really curious about, there's been a lot of, or I should say, I've seen a lot of times where people will leave organizations, and maybe there's a hiring freeze, or it takes a really long time to actually recruit someone new. So the rest of the department kind of picks up the slack. And then because the rest of the department is picking up the slack, then managers like, oh, well, we don't really need that role because the rest of the group can actually do that. But what would you say to a manager who kind of has that perspective? Because there's kind of two different things that could happen there. One, while they may be able to get it done, is that the best, because you're talking about skill sets, is that the right role for the employee to take on? Two, are we actually dumping too much on them to the point where you're overworking them and then driving them out the door and killing your retention rates?
Yes, that's a very good question. And one of the things that managers have to do, and really the perfect time to do that, is when a position becomes vacant. So take that opportunity to review the duties and responsibilities of that position, talk to the rest of your team, understand what it is they're doing, really sit down and look at your structure, your organizational structure, and determine if there is an ability to split those duties up, or if you solely need a position. I've seen a lot of companies in organizations, and really in everywhere that I've worked, take up a vacant position because budget constraints or budget cuts, and you have to do that. You're forced to make that tough decision, and you feel like when you have a vacancy, you can't split those duties up, and it's really just a little thing here and a little thing there, and it doesn't, end up being a huge thing, but employees feel that way. And so you've got to, as a manager, really understand, not get too far in the weeds, but really understand the day-to-day dealings and interactions that your team is having, and really engage in that open conversation. Because if you have that open conversation, none of the employees that work for you or work with you will feel like they can't come to you and say, hey, look, I'm trying to do a really good job, but this is getting to be overwhelming. And so good managers and really good leaders have that ability to know when their team is overwhelmed. And that's one of the things that managers and leaders in organizations have to have that ability. So in this training session, we're going to spend a little bit of time of really understanding the difference between leadership and management. There are some areas that overlap, and then there are some areas that are completely different, but I think you've got to have a good gauge of that so that you can understand how to really make your organization its most effective. And really, most employees want to do a great job. And so you've got to provide them with the tools necessary to do a great job.
Listen, I can tell that you are a wellspring of information. You've been doing this for a while, so I know you've seen a lot and experienced a lot. And so I know that attendees will gain some great information from out of your session. But we've given you some tidbits here already. We can really dive in a lot deeper into kind of the topics that we've already scratched the surface on today. But if you want more, if you want to learn more and dive deeper into these topics, then I really want to encourage you to register yourself, and better yet, register your team to your management team to take part in our annual conference. It's the Conference for Excellence in Nonprofit Management and Leadership. It takes place on August the 19th and 20th, and we have gone virtual. So regardless of where you are in the world, you can still grab us. You can still participate. So if you're not in the Tallahassee area, you don't have to worry about trying to travel and get a hotel and all that. You can just join us from the comfort of your home office or from your regular office, wherever you are. Plus, on top of that, we're really removing all the barriers and all the excuses for you to not attend, because we have also created an all access pass. And what that means is that you can get access to the recordings from all of the sessions, lifetime access, for a slightly higher registration fee. And then that way, even if there's multiple breakout sessions you want to attend that are going on at the same time, you can go back and watch the recording. So really, there's no excuse for you not to be in the virtual room with us on August 19th and 20th. If you're ready to register, or you want to learn a little bit more about the conference, head on over to the link in this post description. It's uphsfl.org/UPHS-annual-conference. And you can register and get more information about what will be happening, what the day will look like for the conference. Nyla, thank you so much for joining me today. If people want to get to dig deeper into the information beyond the conference and perhaps have you come and speak to their organization, or they want to have you come share at their event, how can people connect with you? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
So I am on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way for you to connect to me. You can send me a message. I usually am pretty good about responding within 24 hours. I work at Tallahassee Community College, so you're welcome to look me up in the directory and give me a call, and I'll be happy to discuss it further. But I'm super excited, and I hope that you're encouraged and that you want to join us at this year's conference. And I look forward to working with you all.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining me today. And this is our last interview for this week, but we'll be right back next week with some amazing interviews with our fabulous conference presenters. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.